Boko Haram pledges allegiance to the Islamic State. We'll tell you what the implications could be for Nigeria and the continent. Thousands commemorate a pivotal moment in American civil rights history. And a video of an octopus's dash for freedom goes wildly viral. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Tonight, the war to defeat Boko Haram in northern Nigeria rages on, and it's coming at a high price. Nigerian military sources say 10 Chadian soldiers died fighting to free 2 towns in the region previously seized by Boko Haram. About 30 Nigerian and Chadian soldiers were wounded in clashes in Malam Faturi and Damasak. Now, Nigerians are reacting to an audio clip released by Boko Haram pledging its allegiance to the deadly Islamic State group. The pledge of allegiance was attributed to Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau. The symbolic move highlights increased coordination between jihad movements across North Africa and the Middle East and prompted an appeal from Nigeria's government for greater international help in tackling the Boko Haram insurgency. Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi has already accepted similar pledges from other jihadi groups in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Pakistan and North Africa. Analysts say the allegiance pledged by Boko Haram came as no surprise. In recent months, the terrorist group has increased cross-border raids in Cameroon, Chad and Niger. Moses Owupe of the Senior Citizens Advocacy Network of Nigeria is optimistic Boko Haram will be defeated.
There will be peace in this country, and Boko Haram will be a thing of the past. We've had things like that before, like Maitasini and the rest. They were all overcome by our military and the police. So we believe this time around we are going to win the war against them. Whether they are affiliated to ISIS or not, they'll be eliminated.
Ibaronke Samson says it is time for the Nigerian government to seek more help from neighboring countries.
Boko Haram has been a very difficult challenge to Nigeria. In fact, they are the insurgents in Nigeria. But now, as it is, now that they have declared their support for international terrorists, I think that it is time for the government of Nigeria now to mump up much of power, either from other neighboring countries, to be able to fight strongly the insurgents, the Boko Haram people, so that the war might be totally against them.
Boko Haram has killed thousands and kidnapped hundreds during its 6-year reign of terror to carve out an Islamic State in northern Nigeria. This month, the group released a video purporting to show it beheading 2 men, its first online posting using advanced graphics and editing techniques similar to footage from Islamic State. Well, for more perspectives on Boko Haram's pledge, we are joined live via Skype by Moses Ochonu. He's a professor at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. Professor Ochonu, welcome to Africa 54. And please let us know, did you get this as a surprise that Boko Haram is pledging allegiance to IS?
Not really, because we've always known that Abubakar Shekau and Boko Haram, the Boko Haram hierarchy, have always been, have long been admirers of, and have been inspired also by global organizations of jihad like Al-Qaeda and ISIL. What is significant, however, about this announcement is that Abubakar Shekau has decided to make the alliance, to make this alliance formal, but also the timing to announce it at this time. So that's what is significant.
Now, for some, they will ask, what difference does it make? What does it really mean?
Well, the question of timing comes in here. We have to look at why he's doing it now. And it has to do, I think, with the pressures that Boko Haram is under from the forces of Niger, Chad, and Nigeria, these combined forces. They've suffered a number of setbacks in the last few weeks. A lot of towns that the organization used to control have been recaptured. Even today, we've just heard that more towns have been liberated in the northeast from Boko Haram. So I think it wants to give a temporary boost, morale boost to its fighters, who at this time have been surrounded and beleaguered. But also it wants to make a statement globally and put its image out there that is still relevant. Now, it also wants to connect itself to these global franchises of jihad and to just overcome these setbacks.
Besides just a morale boost, what kind of other assistance can Boko Haram expect from ISIS, possibly?
Very little. The connection between them is inspirational for the most part. We don't see any evidence of any logistical cooperation between the two movements. Now that Chad, Niger, and Cameroon are involved, we don't see the possibility of things getting through the border, equipment and logistical know-how and things like that. So this announcement makes very little difference on the ground.
Yeah.
Boko Haram is still going to be on the run, as it has been in the last few weeks. So nothing is going to change on the ground as far as...
Very quickly, in terms of response to the threat, will this probably change the game in the way the African forces and even the international powers see Boko Haram?
I think so, in a symbolic sense, mostly. Because now that Boko Haram symbolically is connected to this global terrorist organization, I think it adds urgency to the AU, to the organization of, to the AU, and their effort to organize a joint force. Yesterday, the force was announced, so now it actually moves it forward. The schedule has to go very fast now. Not only that, I think the people, the Chad, Nigeria, and Cameroon, the countries surrounding Nigeria now have to be very vigilant, have to be very mindful of what they let through the border now. So it adds urgency to the need to stop ISIS from gaining any logistical support from offering any logistical support to Boko Haram.
Okay, Professor Ochono, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Professor Ochono is a professor of history of African history at Vanderbilt University. He joined us live via Skype from Nashville, Tennessee. Well, now for more insight on Boko Haram and its pledge to ISIS, I'm joined by Leo Kayan. He's head of VOA's Hausa Service. Welcome, Leo.
Yeah, Vincent, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Now, in terms of what you're hearing, locally, internally from your correspondents in Nigeria, does this mean much to the residents of Nigeria, the allegiance to ISIS?
Well, it might mean much and it might not, in the sense that Boko Haram has always been fighting alone, more or less. In the past, there used to be some semblance of foreigners fighting on their side. Arabs, some people of Arab extractions, you could see them in their color, in their tones, their speech, they speak Arabic and all that. Now, whether this is ISIS connection or not, we don't know. But the fact is that this statement is a reaction to the heat Boko Haram is getting from Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and Nigeria at the moment.
So in a way, it's a position of weakness, actually, that has led them to this.
This is a propaganda, but it's strategically placed. It's a propaganda that tells you we need help. We need help. They want help from ISIS, militarily, forces, and all that, because recently, they've been moving to Goza. Goza, by the way, was the police staff college that was taken over by Boko Haram, and they turned it into an insurgency camp. Now, all the soldiers coming out of the Sambisa forest have been amassing there. If they're going to fight, they have got to face Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and the AU forces. Now, who would give them the assistance? The only person that can help them with that is anybody that thinks like them. And that's
now, what you're saying is that actually, if Boko Haram does not receive some kind of assistance, it looks like it is cornered. It might be getting weaker right now.
It is cornered. The end is very apparent, because if we were to talk of ground forces, Nigerian forces have woken up to their slumber, from their slumber. The forces that are coming from Niger and Chad are coming. I mean, they've started air bombardment already, and ground forces are moving in. So definitely Boko Haram is looking at its end if it doesn't get external help.
In terms of the upcoming elections, what's the analysis on the ground? Do people feel more secure as they get closer?
Well, it's amazing the way bombs went off in Maiduguri on Saturday, about 4 bombs in the city. Now, that does not spell calm, but people are still encouraged that they want the election all the same.
But they're getting the sense that Nigerian forces, of course, working with the neighbors, are kind of pushing really hard against
Boko Haram. They're pushing harder than before. They're pushing harder than before now.
So more confident in the coming election.
Yeah.
Well, Leo, thanks a lot for sharing those insights with us.
Thanks for having me.
Leo Kayan is head of VOA's Hausa Service. Well, the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has condemned an attack Sunday on a UN base camp in northern Mali that killed 3 people and wounded 12 others. The UN says the attack involved more than 30 rockets fired on the UN peacekeeping force compound in Kidal. The shells also struck a nearby encampment for an Arab nomads where 2 children died. Mr. Ban says the attack is an intolerable breach of international humanitarian law. The barrage came one day after gunmen killed at least 5 people and wounded several others in an attack on a restaurant in Bamako, in a neighborhood popular with expatriates. 3 Malians, a French national and a Belgian, were killed. The Islamist group Al-Mauribitoun is claiming responsibility for the attack. French President François Hollande denounced the attack as a cowardly act and said that security has been stepped up at a French embassy and other French installations in the former French colony. While in South Sudan, the conflict between rival ethnic groups of President Salva Kiir and his former deputy Riek Machar has plunged the nation into turmoil, and recent talks to end the crisis have collapsed. Fighting between the two sides has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced nearly 2 million. Now the country is facing a serious humanitarian crisis. Here is VOA's Laritza Hoke.
Cattle farms in South Sudan's Lake State look serene in the early morning hours. But villagers say anything can trigger a conflict with neighbors from a hostile tribe. Fighting to avenge a wrong, real or perceived, is part of the culture.
If you just keep quiet, you don't run after your cow and get it back, as if your manhood is being questioned. You are not strong. You are not a strong Nilotic man. Who are you? Because in any community discussion, you will be referred as a coward.
South Sudanese fought an intermittent civil war with Sudan until a peace agreement was reached in 2005, leading to South Sudan's independence in 2011. But 2 chief leaders of the South have become arch-enemies. Their personal conflict has flamed into a full-fledged civil war between the Dinka and Nuer ethnic groups for the past 14 months.
In this pastoralist community, cattle raids have always been there. But to me, they have not been so destructive like our time today. And I may attribute this maybe also to possession of illegal arms. Possession of illegal arms. In the past, long ago, they were using spears. And the spears are not so destructive like guns.
Since tradition demands revenge for losing a family member, more and more villagers are getting killed.
It will become very worse. Because your brother killed, you go and kill another one who is not killing your brother, and another one will just go and kill the one who is not killing his brother. So it's cycling like this. It's increasing.
The northern village of Nile is somewhat isolated from the war zone and is housing some people displaced by violence. After her eldest child was killed in the civil war, this Nuer woman fled here with her remaining son.
I suffered a lot and the hunger nearly killed me. My legs were cut up because I'd fall down, start walking again, and then fall down again.
But after recent floods devastated Nile's crops, its isolation is not so advantageous. The community largely depends on airdrops for food aid.
We don't have food. We just go to the water and dig up the lily roots to feed the children.
But for those who have come to Nile for protection, the choice is simple: hunger rather than war. The African Union countries are pushing for a creation of a transitional government in South Sudan to help restore peace. Laritza Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. While coming up, thousands crowd the Selma Bridge for the 50th anniversary of a pivotal event in the quest for civil rights in the U.S. Stay with us.
Nigeria heads to the polls March 28th for a landmark election. What happens there matters throughout Africa. Turn to Voice of America for the facts. VOA reporters are in Nigeria and surrounding countries covering the campaigns and the issues and counting down to the March 28th election and beyond. Special Nigeria Decides 2015 coverage is underway now. A commitment to Africa from Voice of America.
I'm Millar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents, a roundup of the world's top stories with analysis from our dedicated reporters. It's really a conversation the same way that you would bring a friend to your home and ask them what's going on. And our correspondents will do that and answer those questions through their own eyes.
That appears a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.
Welcome back. Now, few can argue the new chairman of the African Union, Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe, lacks experience. But is he the right man for the job? Either way, VOA's Paul Cisco looks at the AU's progress over the years and its priorities for 2015.
Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe was recently appointed chairman of the African Union. In a lavish birthday ceremony last week, the 91-year-old leader outlined his agenda for the continent.
He fought successfully for political independence. Now, in contemporary times, the economic empowerment struggle is still ongoing, and it is yet to be won in most of Africa.
Since the AU's first summit in 2002,
I declare this first session, therefore, of the Summit of the African Union open.
Its goals have been the same. Ethiopian Prime Minister and former African Union Chairman Haile Mariam Desalegn speaking at an African Union summit in Addis Ababa in 2013.
By the time Africa celebrates the centenary of the OAU and AU, by the year 2063, we will have achieved the dreams of our founders for a peaceful, prosperous, and united Africa.
However, the organization continues to struggle with good governance and security issues in South Sudan, Nigeria, and elsewhere. Erastus Mwencha, the AU's deputy chairman, appeared this week on VOA's Straight Talk Africa with host Shaka Sali.
In a country, there are two things that you must protect. That you must have peace, stability, and justice. And you can't have one without the other. You cannot have justice where there is no peace.
Despite the security challenges, Mwencha said the AU has had some success in other areas, especially in the promotion of trade.
If you look at Africa's trade with the rest of the world has doubled. The numbers are big because it was 600 billion, now it's 1.2 trillion. But in terms of intra-African trade, it has gone 300%.
Thanks in large measure to continent-wide infrastructure, communication, and transportation improvements. Paul Cisco, VOA News.
Well, the shooting of an armed African-American teenager by a white police officer on Friday sparked weekend demonstrations in Madison, Wisconsin. A vigil held on Sunday for 19-year-old Tony Robinson highlighted concerns over what many see as racial bias in U.S. law enforcement. Robinson's death came hours before U.S. President Barack Obama marked the 50th anniversary of two Selma to Montgomery voting rights marches on Saturday. VOA's Clara Frank has more.
The president also challenged lawmakers in Washington to honor the activism in Selma by restoring the voting rights law born from the struggle there.
President Reagan signed its renewal when he was in office. President George W. Bush signed its renewal when he was in office. 100 members of Congress have come here today to honor people who are willing to die for the right to protect it. If we want to honor this day, let that 100 go back to Washington and gather 400 more and together pledge to make it their mission to restore that law this year.
Thousands of people gathered in Selma Saturday to mark the anniversary and hear the president speak. Mr. Obama's wife, Michelle, and daughters Malia and Sasha were also present at the event, as well as Mr. Obama's predecessor, George W. Bush, and his wife Laura. Congressman John Lewis, who was badly beaten in the Bloody Sunday March, reminded the crowd that despite their brutal treatment, they refused to surrender their pursuit for voting rights equality.
We were beaten, tear gassed. Some of us was left bloody right here on this bridge. 17 of us were hospitalized that day. But we never became bitter or hostile. We kept believing that the truth we stood for would have the final say.
Following the speeches, Mr. Obama and a massive crowd walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where police and troopers attacked demonstrators on March 7, 1965, when they tried to march from Selma to Montgomery in support of voting rights for all races. 2 weeks after that day, known as Bloody Sunday, civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. led a successful Selma to Montgomery march. The demonstrations helped spark the Voting Rights Act of 1965, prohibiting discrimination based on race.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Watch that octopus go. Visitors to a U.S. aquarium get closer than they expected to a sea creature. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Egypt, Alexandria hit again by another explosion after a series of bombings killed 1 and wounded 9 over the weekend. In Malawi, health aides are trying to provide clean water and sanitation facilities to displaced civilians after at least 60 cholera cases were reported. And the main hospital in the Comoros stopped accepting patients as a result of water and electricity shortages. Finally, in South Africa, evacuees from wildfire in Cape Town return home to deal with the aftermath. Hundreds are left homeless. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Now, this is terrifying. Well, visitors to the Seattle Aquarium may have hoped to get up close and personal with the center sea creatures, but odds are they weren't wishing for this kind of encounter. A determined octopus named Ink made a valiant attempt to escape his cylindrical container. Ink managed to get a tentacle or two up and over the top of his container before an aquarium staffer gently pushed Ink back inside his tank. The footage of the foiled escape was posted online last week and, not surprisingly, went viral immediately. So far, it's been viewed over 2 million times. Well, next up, a jury has completed its first full day of deliberations in a copyright infringement case in which Marvin Gaye's family claims the 2013 hit Bloodlines copied their father's music. Gaye's children are suing Robin Thicke, Pharrell Williams, and the rapper T.I., alleging their song copies Gaye's 1977 hit Got to Give It Up. Jurors heard from Thicke and Pharrell, who denied they copied Gaye's song. Much of the trial focused on detailed comparisons of the two songs. An attorney for the Gaye family told jurors they could award millions of dollars in damages if they determined Bloodlines copied the early hit. And finally, an Iranian artist's exhibit celebrates hijab chic at London's Royal Festival Hall. An exhibition shows young Muslim women wearing their headscarf, not just as an expression of faith, but also to make a statement of style and individuality. The hijab is worn in vibrant colors and prints and coordinated with chunky accessories or carefully applied makeup reflecting popular fashion trends. The hijab has become a topic of debate about multiculturalism in Europe. France banned the headscarf at state schools in 2004. The photo exhibition is part of the World Festival to coincide with World Women's Day. The exhibition runs till March the 29th. Well, it's time for Monday Sports Report, and here's Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Sunny, you have some cricket news for us today.
Yes, I do, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. Zimbabwe was officially eliminated from the Cricket World Cup over the weekend. The Chevrons from Zimbabwe lost to Ireland by 5 runs in Hobart, Australia. Zimbabwe was chasing Ireland's total of 331 for 8, but the Chevrons were bowled out for 326 with 3 balls remaining to become the first test-playing nation to be ruled out of contention for a place in the quarterfinals. It was Zimbabwe's 4th loss in 5 matches at the Cricket World Cup. The Chevrons will wrap up play on March 14th when they play top-of-the-table India in Auckland, New Zealand. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's neighbor, South Africa, looks like it'll make it to the quarterfinals at the Cricket World Cup. Now let's go to Switzerland for one of the world's biggest ski races. More than 13,000 competitors from 50 different countries participated in the Engadin Ski Marathon in the Swiss Alps. This was the 47th time the popular event has been staged near St. Moritz. And yes, the skiers covered a marathon distance of 42 kilometers. Some of the turns on the course were sharp enough that they caused several falls. The overall winner was Russia's Ilya Chernosov, who led for much of the race despite losing one of his poles in the mass start. Ski racing in the Swiss Alps. I'm VOA's Sunny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Vincent?
Well, Sunny, that's really fascinating. All those people doing a marathon skiing. You know, in Kenya, we do a marathon on the plains. I suppose you have to really come from a very cold, snowy place to do this kind of sport.
Yeah, in fact, that area where they were skiing, St. Moritz, is world famous for some of the best skiing in the world. But yeah, that's a huge race.
Yeah, it's a huge race. And you really have to know what snow is all about and get used to that kind of terrain.
And let me give one quick shout out, Vincent, for Trevor Fisher Jr. from South Africa. He won his first European golf title over the weekend on home soil in East London, South Africa.
That's really great. Thanks a lot, Sunny. Well, and you can join Sunny again every Monday and Friday right here on Africa 54 for the latest on sports. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC. And in the mornings today, Break Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us here in Washington, have a good night.
What we do is bring viewers the stories behind the stories.
We are able to touch on things that are important to people.
You name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent.
It's really a conversation the same way that you would bring a friend to your home and ask them what's going on. And our correspondents will do that and answer those questions through their own eyes.
Washington Forum is made by the viewers, for the viewers. I'm bringing something to Africa.
We hope that our viewers are getting inspired when they watch our show, but they're learning, getting a view of the world from a different perspective.
We go beyond the headlines and dig a little deeper so that people can have better information to help them in their lives.
My role as a journalist is to inform the world, to make a difference, to make a change. That's what makes me tick.